Hello, today I welcome you to my world of watches, and in this video I'm going to show you pretty much everything about this Cadisen C8180. I kind of got lucky with this one. Let's see what it's all about. So we are coming back to these Chinese watches again. This time we'll take a look at this very interesting Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Homage from Cadisen, the C8180. This was one of the orders from the 11/11 sale. I got it for a rather good price and thought why not. This is an updated version. The first gen, the C8179, was also very similar to this one, but it was a lot bigger. It was 46mm in diameter and had a mineral crystal rather than sapphire like this one does. So not a lot of people were attracted to this one because of the size obviously, but then Cadisen actually listened to their customers and made a smaller version, which we are going to review today. It's definitely not perfect. I am going to show you, of course, all of the negatives that I've found throughout the video as well as the positives. In the next video, we are going to take a look at the C8053 model, also from Cadisen. So if you're interested in seeing the review of this one, make sure to subscribe. Thank you. And please let me know in the comments down below if you like these teasers of the next review or not. By the way, I hope that you've had great holidays and a happy new year. Stay safe and stay healthy. Now let's see the watch. So first, the packaging. It's really simple, just a cardboard box with Cadisen logo and brand name on top. When you open it, you're greeted with basic watch packaging stuff, the warranty card, which has a water resistance table on the back. It shows you with how much of water resistance you can do certain tasks. This is very useful if you're new to watches. Then the user's manual, a nice branded polishing cloth, then a pin tool to size your bracelet with, and the watch itself in this little plastic bag. I have already taken off all of the stickers, but it was very well protected. Everything was wrapped in plastic nicely. The size is now way more acceptable, 42mm in diameter not including the crown, about 45.5 if included. Because of the fixed first link, the lug-to-lug distance is a bit bigger, comes in at about 52mm. Has a thickness of 12mm. The lug width was very hard to measure. It came out to be 20mm, but the end of the first link is 24mm. And the bracelet tapers down to 18mm at the clasp. It's not a light watch by any means, weighs about 168 grams, sized up for my 7-inch wrist. Not sized, it weighs 182 grams. This is how it looks on my wrist. You surely feel it on your hand. It has a very nice heft to it, and overall it's quite comfortable to wear. As always, we are going to start with the bracelet, and yet again, just like on pretty much all of these Chinese watches in this price range, the bracelet is not the best. For first, it's rather nice looking, goes well with the whole look. The brushing on top is done perfectly and it isn't overdone. On some watches, the finishes often don't match. For example, you get a brushing on the bracelet that is a bit harsher than the brushing on the case, and that affects the presence of the watch. You also get a fine brushed finish on the sides and on the inside of the bracelet. Although it lacks better execution on the edges, they are actually quite sharp. The edges on the inside of the links are rounded, but the outside can potentially hurt you, especially when it's on your hand, which is constantly moving. It doesn't get in the way of your daily activities, but if you happen to fall down, it can hurt you. This is my main complaint about the bracelet. Then we come to the sizing, which can be quite tricky. It has push pins, it's easy to size it, but as you can see, it has a butterfly clasp, which means no micro adjustments, so you probably won't be able to size it perfectly. I couldn't do it. The links are quite big, so it's either too tight or too loose. I chose it to wear it loosely. The clasp is done nicely. As you can see, there's Cadisen engraved on one of the links. 2 pushes from the sides. It opens and closes easily. And then we come to the last problem, the limits of the strap options. The bracelet, as you can see, is not the greatest, but it looks the best, and I'm not sure if you'll be able to find, let's say, a leather strap which would suit this look as well as this bracelet suits it. The overall finishes are very nicely done. The brushing dominates here, but I really like the polished accents on the side of the case and around the bezel. The screws on the bezel are also polished, so all of these mixed finishes have a nice contrast, and the crown is signed, as you can see. I actually really like the Cadisen's logo. It's simple yet very elegant. There is an exhibition case back, so you can see the rather nice and probably the most common movement, the Seiko NH35A that hacks, hand winds and has 41 hours of power reserve. This is, as I've said, one of the most reliable and common movements used in watches in this price range that will serve you for quite some years. As you can see, it's a screw-in case bag, giving the watch 100 meters of water resistance, so we won't have to worry when going for a swim with this watch on, which is always a huge plus considering that it is a sports style watch. Now we come to the kind of a lucky part of this watch. As I've said in the beginning, On the AliExpress listing, in one place they state that the watch has a mineral crystal, and in another place it says that it has a hardlex. When I got this watch, just out of curiosity, I tested it with my diamond selector tool and it reads sapphire, which was a huge surprise, and I thought I got lucky because these things happen from time to time. The same factory that makes these watches also makes probably like 100 other models too, and sometimes they put different crystals. That is why you need to check them, because it's not always this way. You can also get a mineral crystal when the watch was advertised as having a sapphire. A great thing to do is to order this diamond selector tool. It only costs around $9 and you can easily check the crystal. The link is in the description down below if you're interested. But I'm not actually sure if I got lucky, because one of the writings on the case back says sapphire crystal. Then I contacted the seller that I got this watch from, and he said that these watches have a mineral crystal. Then when I showed him the pictures in which I test the crystal, he said not to worry and that all of them have a sapphire. So I didn't quite understand which one is it, but if you decide to buy, you should probably expect it to have a mineral crystal. And now we come to the most impressive part of this watch, the dial. I went with the square textured one just because it resembles the iconic dial of the Audemars Piguet, and I have to say I have no regrets. All of the squares are perfectly done, there are no mistakes here, and there's even a dotted texture in between the squares that is hardly visible to the naked eye, but when you put it under a macro lens you can definitely see it. The squares play with the light nicely when you move the watch. I really like this dark, almost navy blue color. It is consistent all throughout the dial and it adds to the looks of this timepiece. It's really eye-catching and I caught myself constantly looking at it when I didn't even need to check the time, so in my opinion they've done a great job here. The rounded rectangular indices is another thing that makes this watch stand out. They are polished, so again they dance in a proper lighting, and they are all aligned, which is great because sometimes you can get a misaligned bezel or a crooked indice and then the whole look of the watch is ruined, for me at least. The hand choice is great, goes well with the indices. The Cadisen name on top is printed nicely, so is the writing of 100 meters / 330 feet and automatic on the bottom. I'm not sure how I feel about the date window though. It doesn't look that out of place. It matches the white in the hands and indices, but it might look a bit better without it. I'm all for date windows on watches, but on this one I'm not sure. The Lume, as you probably expected, is not the greatest. It isn't really bright and it doesn't last for long either. And before we go into how to operate this watch, I want to appreciate the fact that they didn't go full-on copy of the Audemars Piguet design, but they added their twist, which is always a huge plus. For example, on the Pagani design I reviewed, the originality is just not found, even though it's a great watch, but on this one there are a lot of differences like the bracelet and the case shape, so I really like that. This is what you can truly call an homage. The overall presence of this watch is fantastic, it looks solid and way more expensive than it costs. Now, the operation of this watch is simple. There is no screw down crown, so just pull the crown to the first position. This lets you change the day, and if you pull to the second position, the seconds hand hacks and you can set the time. And that is pretty much all I have to say about this watch. So there you go, here's my full review of this Cadisen C8180. Definitely a nice looking watch that will attract a lot of eyes when you're walking down the street, especially because of the dial. Would I recommend it? I would say yes if you can get over the fact that it doesn't have the best bracelet. Other than that, it's a great watch with a rather good build quality. And again, you can't expect miracles for $68, but I think it's worth a try. So as always, if you have any sort of questions or suggestions, please leave them in the comments down below. And if you like my video, please leave a like and also consider subscribing and hitting that little bell so you'll get notified when I upload a new video. And now thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.